Hi, welcome to the G2 Gallery podcast. I'm Jared, and today we're interviewing one of our popular artists, Ron LeValley. How are you, Ron?
I'm doing just great. Thank you very much, Jared.
Thank you. And also, Ron's our first photographer to be interviewed on the phone, so this is something special. So let me start off, Ron. When did you start photographing?
Well, I started photographing back in the 60s when I was in probably junior college, though I probably took some pictures when I was in high school. And I just started photographing nature and wildlife when I was studying nature and wildlife in biology in junior college.
And then did you, were you an LA native, a California native?
Well, I'm a California native. I grew up in Northern California in that other state, north of Los Angeles. But I grew up in the Sacramento area, and then during college I got really involved with a group called Point Reyes Bird Observatory over on the Marin County coast. And that sort of, that and my junior college bird teacher inspired me to get really into wildlife. And since then, since the very beginning, I've used photography to help tell my story about what I've learned in the natural world.
That's really interesting. I've never heard a photographer put it that way. Tell your story in the natural world. Do you mind? I mean, what is your story? What's your story in the world of nature?
Well, I've been a biologist, and I'm a trained biologist. I got degrees in that, and I studied mostly seabirds that have been involved in management of endangered species in Northern California for many years. And and then I also, at a certain part of my life, I led tours all over the world, to see nature. So, I've used my photography to help me tell those stories, help me tell what the natural world is about. And I used them, when I was giving talks on trips that I was leading, or when I do training sessions for people to learn how to survey for endangered species, or things like that. And it's evolved to the point where, photography is becoming even, more exciting and more important to me than the professional biology part, although it's really hard for me to separate those two.
Sure. I mean, at this point, the two are so closely related to each other. I'm sure every time you study something, you want to document it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anybody who comes into our gallery sees your work right away and is always impressed and happy with what they're seeing. And you're one of our more successful photographers at the gallery. And why do you think that is?
Well, why am I one of the most successful? I'll tell you what it is. I'm looking at it right now, and there's a rock offshore from where I get to live. And that rock is surrounded by deeper water, and when a wave comes to break on it, it sort of concentrates all its energy on this one spot. And the urchin divers here locally tell me that inland from that rock is a big rock wall, so the wave comes in, hits the rock wall, bounces back, and if it's timed right, it hits the next wave coming in and does those incredible splashes that you have up on your wall. I joke to people that I consider myself a wildlife biologist, but you and me sell more of my wave pictures than I do of my wildlife pictures because they're so spectacular. So I'm a lucky guy to live where I get to see this wave, and I've shot a lot of pictures of that wave.
Yeah. I mean, when did you first notice that wave? When did that happen?
Well, when I first came down and met the lady I'm living with now, it was about 10 years ago when I first noticed it and started taking pictures of it. And sometimes Charlene jokes that when she can't find me, she knows I'm in the backyard taking pictures of the wave.
I mean, did you photograph a lot of water before that, or did you?
Yeah, I photographed all of nature's images, I mean, if you want to know, I've got probably, 60,000 digital images and probably another 30,000 old film images here. So I've shot a wide variety of things.
How often do you photograph?
Well, gee whiz, almost every day. I mean, there are some days I don't, but then I'll make up for it on a day and shoot a bunch. But, part of the thing that I mentioned that I send out a free picture every day to almost 3,000 people all over the world, that means that I have to have a picture that I can, and I can upload a bunch of them at a time. I don't have to, wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and send them out. But,
right.
I have to have plenty of pictures to do that because I can't send the same picture out over and over again.
Right.
But it's amazing when you start looking at things like that. There's so many scenes in the natural world that are worth photographing that I never run out of things to take pictures of.
Sure. Now, my last question I ask photographers is, what advice would you have for someone who's starting out in photography?
Well, my advice to a photographer would be, coming from my perspective, would be for a nature photographer doing wildlife or something, is get to know your subject. The more you know about the subject, the more that you can pick out the parts of it that really will stand out and tell your story. So, as a nature photographer, I think the more biology you know, the more you know about nature, the better your pictures will be. I like to tell people that if you take a picture of something you really love and know, that will show in your picture. If you take a picture just to show you've been someplace, well, that's what that picture will show. So,
right.
Learn as much as you can about the things that you love, and then that's the best way to take best pictures.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Ron, for talking with me. This is Jared from the G2 Gallery Podcast. Tune in. We'll have more podcasts coming to you. Thank you. All thoughts and opinions expressed in this interview were that of the interviewee and not of the G2 Gallery.